Namaste everyone, welcome to my channel. Today's video is part of the series What Toppers Don't Tell Us. I'm going to talk about the current affairs preparation of civil services exam. Now, when I started preparing for the exam, I actually watched a lot of toppers talks, a lot of videos where I was asked to follow a lot of multiple resources. Like even Shrishti Jain Deshmukh ma'am, she mentioned like several resources. Like she was, reading a newspaper, she was reading a couple of magazines, and then she was also watching the news channel. Apart from that, she was also reading editorials, from some like good editorials from some websites. And it's just way, she kind of mentioned way too much of content, and she also helped me understand, how to organize the notes and everything. So for a while I tried following all of the things that she said, and it was such a pressure for me because I would feel inadequate all the time, because if I keep doing the current affairs, I'm not able to do the other subjects, and I'm not able to write the tests, and I'm kind of getting less marks in the tests that I'm writing, and I'm just not feeling confident enough with my preparation. And if you think about it, no matter how much you read, you're never gonna be able to finish with your current affairs preparation. So I kind of decided that it's just not working out for me. Like, I mean, any which ways, I used to take like 2 to 3 hours to read one paper, and in that, if I start reading so many other resources, it's never gonna happen. Now what I'm trying to say is that it's what she said was not wrong. Like, yes, it would be very helpful if you read all of these resources, but you need to understand when to read these resources and how to read these resources. Let's address the first bit of it: when to read these resources. You cannot read all of these resources initially itself when you have started to prepare for the exam. You need to get in the groove of it. Another thing, you can't expect to read these resources if you have only 1 year of preparation. Like, if you are going to appear for the exam after 2 years or 3 years, then you have the time to cover the syllabus also nicely and read all these additional resources. But if you have only 1 year, and in that 1 year you are already at a good base level where you have very strong hold on several of your subjects, and you already are used to reading current affairs, yes, then you can read, or you can follow all these other resources as well. But if you are not, then you can't be expected to read everything and still be able to finish everything with the kind of satisfaction that you need. So you read these resources only when either you have a long time before you are going to appear for the exam, which is at least like more than 2 years, and if you are already at a very good place in your preparation where you are used to reading newspapers even on a daily basis, and you don't take a lot of time to read the newspaper. So if you are already at that place, yes, you can dedicate time for a lot of time for your current affairs, and you can read all of these resources and you can follow them. But if you're not, then it is not advisable to go through with it, because if you are going to go with it any which ways, then you will not feel confident with your preparation. You will not feel confident about your own self, and eventually you will miss out on preparing the basic static subjects, which is actually going to be much bigger a loss than reading several current affairs. Like, because no matter how much current affairs you read, it is never going to be enough, because you can't possibly read everything. It's always going to be inadequate. So if you have some static basic knowledge, you will be able to attack the questions that come, irrespective of whether you have read that particular current affairs or not. Second part of the question was how to read these articles and all of these current affairs. Now, I was generally in a habit of reading the entire thing word by word, which might be helpful if you are looking to improve your language, because if you are looking to build up your vocabulary, if you want to understand how to form sentences, if you want to understand how to write in a lucid manner, then yes, if you want to improve your command over language, you have to, but perhaps read at least few articles on a daily basis, word by word. But otherwise, if you waste your time, it's a wastage of time in reading all the articles word by word. You are going to take at least 2 hours to finish the paper. If you are taking 2 hours to finish the paper, when will you read the current affairs magazine? When will you read the when will you appear for the test? And in that case, when will you kind of go through, if like any which ways, if you are wanting to go through the other editorials and other debates and everything, you basically can't cover a lot of ground in that manner. Like, you will be able to do only a certain specific small amount. If you're okay with that, it is also fine. There's nothing wrong with covering only one paper and just one magazine and just be with it. But if you do want to cover more ground, then you might have to diversify, then you might have to reduce your time. And if you want to do that, you can't read word by word. So if you're not reading word by word, then what are you supposed to do? How are you supposed to read the editorials? So this is how I read the editorials. I do not read everything word by word. What I start with is, first I read the title, and then there's generally a subtitle to that title which kind of tries to say that, what is the writer trying to say in this editorial. At least it is in this manner in Indian Express. So there is a subtitle which kind of gives like a sort of glimpse of, what is there in the article ahead. I make sure that I read that nicely so that I know what the writer is looking to say in this particular editorial. So even if I miss certain things, I know what the gist of it is. After I am sure of that, I start reading the first paragraph. I read the first paragraph to see that if there is any, like how is the writer starting? How is the writer trying to approach the story? There are times when writers are going to just be upfront about it. Okay, this is the topic and this is what my analysis is. So if, they're kind of saying it in the first paragraph, will basically give you the writing style of the writer. Once you kind of go through that, generally what I do is I directly move to the last paragraph, because if there is any kind of recommendations that the writer is going to give, which is what generally we are looking for, because we use editorials to write way forward in our answers. Like, the analysis is useful, but you can always get the gist of the analysis from the recommendations as well. So I immediately go to the last paragraph. And in the last paragraph, I see that there are some recommendations. Then I wouldn't even need to go through the entire editorial. I can just read the first para and the last para, and I would know what the editorial is about. Sometimes the last para is like a conclusion and it's not really the recommendations. If that is the case, then I would start reading the article backwards. That too, I will not go through the whole thing word by word. I will just skim through it. I would just see that if there anything looks like a keyword there. And I would not give one editorial more than 3 minutes of my time. That's the key. You have to make sure that you limit your time. That is the only way you will be able to cover more material in less time. Even I generally don't read all these other resources anymore, because again, it doesn't make me feel adequate. Because if I read too many things, I realize, oh shit, I had no idea about this. Like, there's some new series or some new issue that a particular newspaper or a particular magazine is trying to cover. It is their editorial plan that they're kind of trying to cover. But I am not following that magazine every day. And if I try to read from between, what will happen is I would not know the background of that particular story link or whatever that they are trying to cover. And then I would feel inadequate, that my preparation is not up to the mark, and I would not feel confident. So I read only one paper and one current affairs magazine. But despite all of this, I make sure that I read it in this manner only, so that I'm able to cover the current affairs bit in a very less time, and I can dedicate that much of time to solving the current affairs quiz and to cover the other subjects. So that was my video for today, guys. I hope you like it and I hope you find it helpful. If you like the video, please leave a comment below and click on the thumbs up. And if you have not subscribed to my channel till now, please do subscribe so that we can all help each other out and we can prepare for the exam in a much better and much organized manner. Thank you so much for watching the video.